It's story time.
As the sun goes.
So it's time to tell a little story here. This is back when I was working at an armed guard post for a cannabis farm. And to give a little bit of history on the place, it's a 40-acre property, which in city terms comes out to about the space it would take to put 200 to 300 homes on. And this was a pretty large property. It was rural in the mountains, a lot of hills, ponds, forest, a lot of places to hide on this property. A lot of little dirt roads that went all over the place. And I'm guarding marijuana that is very close to being time to harvest. And the value was probably anywhere between $250,000 to $500,000 worth of commercial cannabis in California. So I'm working graveyard shift. I'm standing post. It's freezing cold. I have no shelter to speak of. I am basically out in the open air. So I'm staying in one area in the center of the compound where I can see all of the grow houses, and out of the corner of my eye I see a light, very faint light, but I see a light come on and then turn off, and that was down the hill a little ways and across this little ravine. So it drew my attention, and I'm just watching, and I see the light again, and it moved a little bit, then it turned off. So I'm watching, and then I see the light again, but this time it was a little further up this dirt road that is on the other side of this ravine through the trees. And so at this point I know that it's a person, and so I position myself at the end of that dirt road, right where the ravine ends, and I see the light come on again. So I take out my Stinger flashlight and light the guy up, and as soon as I see him, he freezes, and I notice that he has a shotgun in his hands. So at this point I immediately draw my firearm, and then I start to scream at him. I inform him in the loudest possible way that he is on private property, that he is trespassing. I told him to drop the weapon. And at this point, he finally comes to his senses, turns around. So at this point, he comes to his senses, he turns around and starts booking it. So I start chasing him. I chase him for probably a good 20 seconds, and then he ducks around a blind corner behind a hill. So I immediately stop the pursuit, and I retreat back to the center of my compound. I get on the phone, and I call the owners of the property, and I call the one of the workers who was sleeping inside of this little hut, this little like cottage. And he comes out, and probably 15 minutes later, the owners show up. They've got their all-terrain quads with them, and the rest of the night was pretty hectic. Nobody slept. Everybody was out there driving around back and forth, looking for any sign of anything. One thing that was quite sobering was the fact that as the guy was running away, I could hear on the opposite side of the property a second person. I could hear their footsteps running down another road on the other side of the property, and the neighbor's dog on that side started barking. And then I heard a diesel pickup truck start up. I heard a door shut. I heard the truck drive down the road at the end of the property, and then I heard another door shut, and then the truck drove off. So that tells you right there they had at least 3 people involved in this attempt at a robbery. And just purely by the grace of God, I interrupted the guy. I mean, I was paying attention, but you know, it was a very faint light, and I just happened to see it, and I was able to interrupt him. And because I interrupted him, it put a wrench in their whole plan. It wasn't sure that the owners put up motion lights on all of the roads leading into that property so that they would light up as soon as somebody walked by. We ended up hanging up fishing line with cans attached to the ends to make noise if anybody tripped the line. But it was definitely a adrenaline-filled night. It was one thing that I did notice was that when I first tried to scream at the guy, I was so amped up on adrenaline at that point that I overdid it and nothing came out of my mouth. It was literally like I had lost my voice because I tried to scream louder than was capable. And so, like, you know, because of that, I later started to practice my yelling. When nobody was around, I would practice yelling at a subject just so I knew what to expect and what would come out, so that when the time came, I didn't have that problem again. It was quite shocking when nothing came out of my voice. It was just pure adrenaline and crazy times. This place that I worked had prior robbery attempt where people came in dressed as sheriff and DEA, and they robbed the place. And this was before the company I worked for was hired to guard the place. They didn't have security. They just had a few workers, and they pretty much lost everything. They lost cash. They lost all of their crops. So they learned their lesson. They hired security, and fortunately, during the times that we worked for them, nobody was able to steal anything from this place. There were a few robbery attempts. Most of them were just either tweakers or the trailer park people from up the road a ways, just trying to get in and get a few branches cut. But we successfully stopped all attempts at theft, which was good. But you know, it's a high risk job, and the pay really wasn't where I think it should have been, especially for the risk you're putting in, and especially for the value of those crops that we're guarding. We're getting paid $15 an hour to guard crops that are worth $500,000. So yeah, I was a little bit off balance, but I was grateful that the job wasn't too far from where I lived, and so that was a nice not tough commute. But anyway, if you got a story, I'd like to hear your story in the comments. Tell me about some times that you had a close call, you know, as a guard, and who knows, maybe one of these days when I'm able to, I'll do a live, and I'll have some of you guys call in and share your story on a live. Anyway, have a great day. I'm heading into work right now, doing the swing shift. Hope you guys stay safe on your shifts out there, and I'll catch you later. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and like, comment, and share. Thank you much.